This is Roberta Foster, and I welcome you today to Author's Corner, brought to you by KNEO 91.7 FM The Word. And today I welcome Tega Taylor to Author's Corner. She and 8 other women wrote a book called Hey Friend, 31 Journaling Devotions on Friendship for Girls by Girls, published by B&H Publishing. And she'll tell you more about how to find the book at the end of the program. Tega, thank you so much for being with us today.
Roberta, thank you for having me. This is going to be so fun.
The book is written to help individuals go through friendships and learn from friendships. So what was the inspiration behind creating this devotional, but particularly with 9 different women?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we live in an age today where everyone in some way, shape, or form is on social media, and we are supposedly more connected than we've ever been. Yeah. But we've just learned over the years that friendship is so hard, especially post-COVID. I think a lot of people realize that, maybe the community I thought I had, I don't really have. Mm-hmm. Or maybe my idea of friendship wasn't exactly the right idea of friendship. And so what was cool in getting to write this with other women is when it comes to, inter-women relationships and friendships, that can be hard. And so, envy can come up and bitterness can come up and jealousy can come up. And so it's how can we actually create a resource where we as women can sit down together and say that, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. Mm-hmm. We can actually celebrate one another. We can love on one another. We can learn from one another and glorify God together.
Well, one of the devotions that I just happened to open the book to is called Not Just a Number, How Godly Friendships Cross Age Barriers. So that led me to a question. What are your age ranges between the authors?
Yeah, so a lot of the authors are in their 20s or 30s, and then we even have, I think, someone in their early 40s, but it's really written by young women in different stages of life. So we also have people who are single, who are married, who have children, and just have learned all kinds of different things in different spaces.
Okay. So you wrote some of the devotions, and so as you were going through this process, how did it change you, or how did it impact you to write these for other people?
Yeah, Roberta, part of my story is that friendship for me was always kind of easy up until a certain point. There'd hit a certain point where I felt like my own personal walls would come up, and I'm like, okay, now I'm putting people at arm's length. And so what was cool about writing one of the devotionals I got to write is me understanding that friendship really isn't fighting against one another, but it's fighting for one another. And it's seeing the person in front of me not as my enemy, someone who wants to attack me or someone who wants to bulldoze their way in, but it's someone who wants to come alongside me and make me stronger and make me better and make me look more like Jesus. And so that was one of the things I got to learn. But also, what do you do and how do you celebrate a friend who gets the very thing that you prayed for? I think that was the hardest one for me to write because at the time I was in a season where I felt like I was looking around and it was like, Lord, feels like everyone else is getting the very thing that I've been asking for, and I don't know when my time is. And so definitely learned a lot in the process.
Well, as you mentioned, it's written by younger women, and did you have an opportunity to visit with older women to learn from their side of it as you were writing the book, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so a lot of my mentors are people who are double or triple my age. And so what was cool in getting to sit with them, my oldest mentor is 73. Okay. And so what was cool is me also taking from those experiences of them being able to ask me questions, but me ask them questions as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think all of those things came into account in writing and friendships because it's important that we understand that it's not just, my friends are the people who look like me or are the same age as me, but how can I learn from diversified experiences? Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been a teenager, and I think I went through my teenage years pretty blasé when it comes to drama and troubles. One of the words I hear is drama when it comes to younger girls and things like that. So how do you handle the issue of drama in relationships, drama in friendship through your book?
Yeah, so I have learned when it comes to drama, because drama is, it feels like that is the trending word, is my friendship's full of drama. And I think that what drama really is a lack of communication amongst people.
Yeah.
And because it's a lack of communication amongst people, we have to understand, hey, what are the fundamentals to communicating? What does it look like to talk to someone and tell them the truth, but also tell them the truth in love? Mm-hmm. What does it look like not to hide and avoid how you're feeling about something, but to search your heart and say, hey, am I feeling angry at this person? Did I hear something that like maybe might have offended me or rubbed me the wrong way? And not just stay there, but how do I tackle that head on to know that the friendship is worth fighting for? And so anytime I sit with anyone younger than me, and or, you know, even if it's like my mom or just like someone who may be older than me who is like navigating conflict or drama in a friendship, just figuring out, okay, what are you tempted to believe about the person in front of you? What's true about them? And how can we take that truth and address them in the conflict?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm talking today with Tega Taylor about the book 31 Journaling Devotions on Friendship for Girls by Girls, and it's published by B&H Publishing. And you are listening to Author's Corner, and I'm Roberta Foster. And I'll just let you know that if you miss any part of today's interview or would like to hear it again, you can now find it on your favorite podcast provider or through kneo.org. Okay, so Tega, it's not just a bunch of stories in this book. You have some thoughtful interaction with the reader. So how can the readers apply the teachings from these devotions in their everyday life?
Yeah, what's fun about this is that it's not just a storybook or just a book of people's stories that you get to read, but you get to interact with it, which is the fun part about journaling, is it pulls you to reflect. And there's also a section where it's an application section where you're challenged to do something in the day-to-day, whether it's text a friend, whether it's write a letter to yourself, whether it's going outside and, you know, like being intentional about the people and with the people around you. So I think that's the fun part, that, hey, this knowledge doesn't just stay in your head, but how does it move to your heart through action?
Well, we know that friendships are amongst believers, but there are probably friendships, well, not probably, absolutely friendships between believers and unbelievers. So how do you, through your book, encourage friendships based on faith that may cause some disagreements?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I think one of the big tools there is, what kind of friend do you want to be, and what kind of friend has Jesus been? Jesus also, you will notice throughout Scripture, also had some kind of relationship, and they may not have been his best friends, but he had relationship with people who did not know him or people who did not believe the same things as him. And yet he treated them with love, and yet he had a listening ear towards them, yet he extended kindness. And so when it comes to those dynamics of friendships, I always encourage, one, have those friendships. It is not okay for us to only be friends with believers, because how can we be a witness? And so being able to be friends with people who don't believe the same as you do really just looks like, hey, how do you love them well? How do you listen to them well? And, you know, how do you show Jesus in your actions and not just through your words? Mm-hmm.
And what would you recommend to a mother who comes across this book and wants her daughter to participate in it?
I would say that this would be a great book for them to do together.
Oh.
I think that it's one of those things. So even though it says it's for girls by girls, it's definitely one of those devotionals that no matter what age you are, I think that we can all benefit from understanding friendships even deeper. So I'd say, mom, get a copy, daughter, get a copy. And mom, you get to tell your daughter about some of your friendship dynamics and how you've navigated friendship. And both of you can sit in different spaces and, different spaces in life and be able to sit and maybe even learn from one another.
That's a great idea. I don't imagine that that's a typical thought for teenagers to have devotions with their mom, but I'm really glad you brought that up. Okay, well, the book also covers a lot of other issues about friendships. So what advice do you give for someone who's looking to build a friendship? Because some people say, I just don't have any friends, or I don't have very many friends, and so how can this book help them?
Yeah, I would say that this Devo definitely helps in encouraging you to go outside of your four walls and find friends. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going to church, whether it's going, if you like sports, maybe going to intramurals, or if you have a certain hobby that you love, whether it's pottery or painting, finding a club near you. And so finding friends around some common interests is definitely helpful. I think when it comes to friendship, we often can wait and sit and just hope, Lord, just send the friend to my door. Mm-hmm. Let's hope that they just knock and my friends are showing up. But sometimes we have to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations and uncomfortable environments in order to find the people that we're truly looking for.
Many Christian girls have unbelieving friends. How important is it to be careful about those type of friendships as far as drawing away from Christ? You know, I hear people say, well, I'll be friends with them, and that way then I can lead them to Jesus. We hear that about marriages, too, and the percentages are really poor when it comes to that being a reality. Instead, it draws the believer away from Christ instead of the unbeliever to Jesus. So give us some insight into how your book will help some Christian teenagers to stand strong in their faith.
Yeah, so the Devo definitely addresses the fact that Jesus even had a 3, and then he had a larger circle like the 12, and then he had the 5,000. And so when it comes to our unbelieving friends, like, we can grow and have like good relationships with our unbelieving friends, but as far as getting our spiritual advice from, our moral advice from, we have different morals. We have different spiritual beliefs. We have different standards. And so who we get wisdom from and who we glean from matters, because your friends determine where you go in life. And so who you're surrounded by is often the direction in which you'll walk. And so I think it's good to have your closest friends be those who have the same beliefs as you do, but also it's good to be surrounded by people who don't have those same beliefs. And so I would caution the teenager who's like, hey, more of my friends are unbelievers than believers. I would say that you can love them super, super well, but in order for you to be loved super, super well in your walk with Christ, you need to surround yourself with those who walk in the same direction Christ is.
Great. Well, when you talked about mothers and daughters doing this devotional together, when writing the book, who was really in mind? Who was your target audience?
So the target audience for each author kind of varies of like, okay, who was on their heart? We knew from the beginning, hey, this Devo is going to be for women, really, whether it's a teenager, whether it's someone in college, whether it's someone post-grad. That was kind of the heart posture for the book. But then as we continued to write, we realized that, hey, there's no age that this stops being a thing. Yeah. And so that's where it became that maybe this is a lot bigger than we even realized.
Okay, great. Well, today I am talking with Tega Taylor about the book 31 Journaling Devotions on Friendship for Girls by Girls that she wrote with 8 other women. So, Tega, why don't you tell our audience how they can find out more about this book?
Yeah, well, first of all, Roberta, thank you so much for having me today. For anyone listening, you can find this book anywhere where you find books, whether it's Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Christian books. Wherever you want to find a book is usually where you'll find this. And so we also have our website at heyfrienddevo.com where you can get all the info on it.
Great. Well, I'll just let the listeners know this is a hardbound book. And so just like those little diaries that we hear about in the movies that I don't know if anybody keeps anymore, but they
definitely, I still do.
Okay, good. Well, now we call it journaling, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, it's a great book. It will last for a lifetime because of how it was put together and everything. So a great book to look more into. And so it's called 31 Journaling Devotions on Friendship for Girls by Girls. And I'm going to give kudos to all these ladies now. Cambria Joy Dam Michelson, Tega Taylor, Alexis Lee, Lauren Groves, Colby Nell, Gabrielle McCullough, Alina Pitts, Yvonne Faith Russell, and Tara Tunn. And those are all the ladies that participated in creating this book, and we thank B&H Publishing for giving us a copy to talk about. It's been a true pleasure having you on Author's Corner, Tega, so thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Roberta. Have a nice day.
And to our listeners, we appreciate you tuning in. This is Roberta Foster on the Author's Corner. Join me again next time.